What's poppin' YouTube? Before I get into all the stuff I've been doing in the month of January, also ending December, you saw I was in Arizona, but I'm back at home. I have to talk about the biggest accomplishment that I completed in 2025 that I haven't posted on my YouTube, and that is completing my final defense for my doctorate program and becoming a doctor. So I hope you enjoy this vlog. I hope that it grabs your attention. I hope that you can make it through the video because I went through an emotional roller coaster. My professors dropped a lot of gems while I was in my final defense. I learned a lot about myself through this 4-year process. It was tedious. It was hard. It took everything out of me. I don't think I've ever begged and pleaded with God as much as I did in these last 4 years. And I'm kind of in recovery mode, as you can see, trying to figure out what direction I'm going in. But this is a big milestone. I'm the first doctor in my family. I would never have thought in a million years that I would have been able to climb the ladder in my education career. But here's the vlog, the makings of a doctor, final defense. I hope you enjoy it. Today is September 2nd, 2025, and I don't have my phone on me, but I believe it's like a little bit after 11:30 a.m. In about an hour and a half, I have to give the best presentation I've ever given in my life with my final defense. Nothing's gone how I envisioned or planned this morning. So I have a lot of emotions. So I'm just trying to like kind of come down from it and focus, focus. Sometimes I just be wishing that something would like work for me. Like, now why do I have so many obstacles when I'm trying to just do something simple? But nevertheless, I'm here, I'm alive. I feel like I'm not prepared. I'm nervous. But whatever happens today, I just have to remind myself that I put every single thing that I had into this in 6 months. Every bit of energy, every tear, every drop of motivation, the lack of sleep, the lack of eating, the lack of peace and serenity and constantly being stressed. It all comes together today. So to my future self, I hope, I pray that you put yourself first and know that you don't have to prove nothing to nobody. And everything that you ever wanted is possible. You just have to have faith, strength, courage, confidence, and work ethic. And I just want to tell my younger self that the journey was hard. And every emotion that you felt along the way was valid. And I'm truly proud of you for doing everything that you said you couldn't do. While you were doing it, you were telling yourself you can do it. So I'm going to get dressed and prepare for this final defense and pray to the Almighty God that 2 o'clock Eastern Time, I will be Dr. Miller. This is it. This is it. This is it. This is it. Like, oh my, I have 4 minutes. I have 4 minutes. I feel like I should go to the bathroom. Maybe it's just my nerves. I'm gonna hold it. Gosh. This is the best I could do in terms of makeup. I don't be wearing makeup. I'm so nervous. I feel like I don't know anything. Lord have mercy.
I don't look at it that way. We're colleagues who collaborate.
Recording in progress.
Hey, Erica, welcome back. I think Dr. Crew is going to kick us off. Maybe not.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Breathe. Everything's fine. Okay, we're good.
Hi, Erica.
Hi.
Very good to see you again, my friend.
Hi.
I was listening to the conversation earlier as you were just in the process of going into your room that Dr. Canny put you in, and I was wondering, you said something about, I'm a different person now for having gone through all of what you've been through. And I'd like you to try to be specific about in what ways has this whole process, the entirety of it, not just the dissertation, but the thinking, the reflecting, the ability to kind of atomize, pull it apart again and look at it piece by piece. In what ways has that changed you?
To not be long-winded, I struggled a lot in this program because I felt like I didn't fit in. And, term one, framework class, immersion one, I sat in Dr. Dada's class and she asked us all to introduce ourselves. And I framed myself as if I wasn't worthy to be in this program because I did not operate like my peers. I came with a lot of complexities. I'm very rough around the edges, and I was sitting in spaces that I never would imagine. And today that I know, regardless of the outcome of this body of work that I've poured into the last 6 months every single day, I know that I'm capable to be in rooms where I don't necessarily look like the demographic, that I can articulate myself, that I can free think. And I'm already a USC graduate, but I fell in love with Rossier at the very end. It was a love-hate situation, but now I understand. I understand the culture of Rossier. I understand what you all push on us, the mission. And I pray that at the end of this, it's not just a title, it's not just letters behind your name. I pray that God will use me to help other people that align with what I want to produce. So that's the change.
I thank you so much for that. I wish I had felt that way when I graduated or when I was in the process of defending my dissertation. I think all of us go through periods of our lives that are incredibly complex and very challenging. But I think your circumstances and what you wrote about and the data you've uncovered it makes mine pale by comparison in some ways. And so part of what I guess would be a follow-up question for me would be, what's your intent? How you mentioned being used by God to do something special. You are clearly a special human being, and the question for me is, what then will be your next act?
My next act, I do feel like it's more individual rather than God using me. I just made a significant change, and I've left my career because of the federal job cuts. And I just knew that I was going to go on sexual assault immediately after this process. And I'm going to take an opportunity to pour into myself and allow God to use me in wherever direction he goes and tells me to go into. But into my career and into my community, I've always wanted to help other people. I'm a very giving person because no one poured into me as a child, as a young adult. I think you all, and especially Rossier, my colleagues, have poured into me more in the last 3.5 years than anybody in my life. So I'm already volunteering with the sexual assault program in my community to give me hands-on experience. I'm already volunteering at the education system in my city because there's a lack of experienced people, there's a lack of people that's willing to volunteer, and to give myself some grace and sit into some spaces that are not my norm. All I know is the Army. And it took a lot for me to leave. I've been in the Army since I was 18 years old in every aspect, and I walked away less than 2 weeks ago. So that is my next chapter is not necessarily written in concrete, but I know that I want to use all of this education. I have an abundance of education, and I want to help as many young children, youth, as I can, help as many adults as I can, whether it's researching or educating them or giving my time to them. But that is my plan.
Thank you so much, Erica. I appreciate that answer. Wonderful to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Dr. Toby.
Yeah, congratulations, Erica. I've got to say, I remember the last time we talked on the phone, you were very discouraged at that point. However, I heard, because we weren't in person, but in my mind, I could say there's a glimmer of light here. Pursuing, finishing, and also the topic, sexual assault in the military, right? And specifically in the Army, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it takes a lot of guts to do that. And it also takes a lot of guts for you to leave, although on the one hand, I bet you're glad you did. So, one thing I did want to ask you, in the folks that you interviewed, right, that gave such grace in their willingness to talk with you, and also recommendations as well. Can you share with us a little bit, what were some of, folks that go through such horrific experiences in life, what was it that pulled them to their future, or they were able to accept their wanting to figure out, well, so no one's going to listen to me here, I'm going to find other ways of having folks listen to me. Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Okay. And to kind of back brief you on the recruitment, because I did email you and I was having a hard time. At the beginning of this recruitment process, it was very harsh. The veterans, the Army veterans, they were very mean. They were very aggressive. And I even had one participant message me and say, why should I participate in your research study when the Veteran Affairs Department in the Army has done nothing for me? And I got a lot of pushback until maybe 30 days later, where a plethora of people just said, I want to share my story. And it was interesting when I began to do interviews, because I began to interview people that all came from the same job series. And it was the same job series that I was in the Army. And they all were scattered across the United States with different times in service. But the one thing that I did notice out of each participant is they closed the door on the Army.
Yeah.
They acknowledged that they were veterans, but they really infused themselves in their civilian life, which is their next chapter. And it's something that I've yet to do. And all of them have been focusing on some form of peace. One participant, she owns a horse ranch where she does therapy. Another participant is a gymnastic teacher. Another participant has dedicated her life being a victim advocate, a specialist in the Department of Air Force, which is not even the branch that she served.
Yeah.
And it inspired me. It took a lot for me not to cry in the interviews, because the things that they told me made me realize that I thought my story was bad, but it's always someone else. It's always something. But all of them had amazing families. All of them had support groups. All of them took time to research platforms or resources that fit their needs, that was outside of what the government provides for them. And I think that's why they've all been so successful. And each participant still has a plethora of PTSD that they acknowledge that will never go away, that they acknowledge that they don't operate the same, they don't parent the same, they don't love their spouses the same, but they all have figured out a way to coexist in their new frame of mind. And I thought that was the most beautiful thing at the end of the interviews. I gave each participant an opportunity to share anything that they wanted to share at the very end, about their experience, about what they were doing in their life. And I thought it was amazing that they were able to share their story and then resume with their life. Even though it is still in the back of their mind, they're actually living and not surviving.
Yes. Yeah. Is there a place that little epigraph, is that what they call it, could be put in? Because what you said is so beautiful. I just want to let you know that. And it's on Zoom. Right? You can capture that. Is that something you could think about adding to your dissertation? And Dr. Canny and you can kind of figure that piece out. Is that okay for me to ask?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Erica, you, in the conclusion, let me pull you back.
Okay.
And by that, I mean, go as far as you want, and I'll pull you back. We had someone who looked at overweight women. Mm-hmm. And the final line for their dissertation is a lyric from a Pink song with curse words in it. Okay. And because it fits. Mm-hmm. So let me pull you back.
Okay.
And you know this, in so many places we keep saying, don't give us your opinion. You know what? The conclusion, roar.
Yeah.
This is an important topic. It is hell. And so go for it.
Okay. Okay. We'll do.
Yeah. The other thing, and you mentioned just a moment ago there, what one of your participants was in the Army, then had the sexual assault happen in the Army, then went to the Air Force, right? And tell me a little bit more about that person and her experience. Was it different? And finding resources. Do you mind sharing that a little bit? Yeah.
So for her, she had the most traumatic story out of the participants, probably out of anyone that I heard. She was sexually assaulted twice, which was very common across the participants, but she was impregnated by her assailant. And because she became pregnant, that's how she was able to receive a lot of resources, because she had to do a protective order, and the individual was still in the military. And still to this day, she doesn't have any contact with the individual. But the one thing that she complained about a lot was she felt like she was forgotten, that she didn't have special maternity care for individuals that are raped and have to continue the process with the pregnancy. Because at the time, I think still to this day, but at the time, it was actually illegal to have an abortion in the military. You would be kicked out of the military. So she didn't have a choice if she wanted to keep her career. And she told me that she wanted to use herself, use her experience, and that's how she became a victim advocate for the Department of Army. And that is the only organization that she's worked for in her civilian career. And she was very excited about how she talked about it, because we all know how nice the Air Force is. They have a greater budget. The Air Force operates as a business, and the Army operates as wartime heroes. And she gave me a lot of insight on how the Air Force operates. Totally different from the Army. They actually treat their impact so traumatizing and be able to pour water on something that grows out of something so traumatic, which is her child.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Thank you, Erica, for.
Erica, one last question. It's a little similar, but also different from what Dr. Crew asked.
Okay.
Looking back over 3.5 years, what has Erica learned about Erica?
It reminds me of something that Dr. Crew told me during my proposal, to learn to love yourself. Something that my fellow colleague in cohort 23 told me at the very beginning, to give yourself grace. And your experiences does not define who you are. And in hindsight, if someone would have told me 10 years ago when I was sexually assaulted that I would be writing a research study on it and being used as a vessel to share stories of individuals, I would say you're lying. For the first time in a long time with my own PTSD, I haven't been angry. I've been very still. I've been less aggravated because this was therapeutic. I felt like I went through a battle with myself just going through the topic. I had a lot of nights where I cried. I had a lot of nightmares. I had to do a lot of therapy. I have an assigned therapist at the VA. I have a life coach. I have a psychiatrist. And even my therapist told me, he said, I don't know why you're torturing yourself. And I said, I don't know why either, but this is the only thing that I felt that I could talk about.
Thank you. Any questions for the committee?
Yes, I have a question. I always have questions, Erica. So I know Dr. Crew asked you, what's the next act and so forth. Are there opportunities for you to present your research?
It is, but I feel like at this moment, not so. So the last thing I did on my last day of work with the Department of Army is I went to talk to my sexual assault lead in my organization, who has 20 plus years of experience. And I sat and told her, as an eager doctoral student, hey, I'm finishing my dissertation. Can you read it? And she looked at me with a master's in psychology and said, now you want me to read something about sexual assault, and I have all these sexual assault cases and I have to do all this paperwork. She said, but send it to me. I'll glance over it. And she asked me, just the same as you said, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I want to be like you. I want to be a sexual assault representative. And I began to share unconsciously. She became a therapist without me knowing, but I began to share my story with her. And she looked at me and she says, this is not where you belong. And I'm like, what do you mean? I just dedicated 4 years. I want to be a sexual assault representative. And she says, no, you should go work in prevention. You should go work and do sexual assault prevention, because you're more focused on how can you make an organization better? How can you make the culture better? And one thing that she ended, we talked for 4 hours.
Oh, goodness.
We talked for 4 hours that day, my last conversation at work. But the thing that she said the most that was so captivating to me was, she said, the Army spends all this money to create alcohol prevention programs and drug programs and domestic violence programs. And she looked at me and she says, you mean to tell me no one in the Army can get a soldier to stop touching another soldier? No one in the Army can stop a soldier from sexually assaulting a soldier. And she looked at me and she says, it's not a sexual assault problem. It is a cultural problem. And until you change the culture, you will continue to have sexual assault. And the only way you can change the culture is you have to undo the top in order to spare the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So my dream is, I still want to go into this field. Maybe I'll take her advice and go into prevention. But as far as working for the government right now, and that is annotated in my dissertation, the current administration has removed about 200,000 employees. The Department of Army, even though we have a decent budget, not as big as Homeland Security now, what was put in place with the Biden administration by increasing positions has reversed. And everything that was in this research study that had been recommended and had been implemented the last 2 to 3 years has been reversed. So November of 2024, we had 17% of individuals working in sexual assault in the Army, and they are currently removing the positions. And the Pentagon has said, you don't need that many positions for sexual assault. You don't need that many positions for prevention. And they're going backwards. So I realized that maybe you can't implement change when you're in the system. Maybe you have to implement it when you're in the outside to force the system to change. So whether if I go back to the Department of Defense or I work outside in another organization, that is my goal, to work in this career fields, because it gives me a lot of inspiration hearing these individual stories. And that is the whole thing that I started at the beginning, is I need to share the stories of these people, because when I looked at research, no one talked to us. It was people that had never been sexually assaulted making decisions for us.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. You know, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was wondering with this masculinity theme, right, and all the connotations of being masculine and so forth, right, that aren't necessarily the human being. We come in our form of who we are, right, and we're categorized and classified and whatever, right? But to now take the military and take away these programs, or the folks that are trying to, have input on organizational change, which is your doctorate, right, in organizational change, Erica. I just see, for the next 3 years, we're going to be in HE double hockey sticks, right, with the situation that's happening.
Yes.
So that, I thank you so much for what you just said and your response. And you're going to poke at the system from the outside, but also as an expert in organizational change as well.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, Erica, do not go far, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
In progress.
Oh, what a beautiful picture of.
Beautiful picture, and more importantly, congratulations, you have successfully defended.
Thank you.
Amazing work, great job. I'll let Doctors Crew and Toby say what they want to say.
Oh, I think Dr. Crew, you're on.
On mute.
We can't have that. Oh, he's off camera. I know we're not supposed to say doctor until it's officially uploaded on the transcript, but I'm saying Dr. Miller because you are Dr. Miller to me. And I'm so glad I had the honor and to get to know you. I think it was later in the program. I think it was, yes. And then also the honor to be on your committee. Congratulations, Dr. Miller.
Thank you.
I hope you stay in touch.
I will. I'll nag you. There's a reason why I asked you to be on my committee.
Dr. Crew. Oh, we lost him.
Thank you. It was my fault. I was trying to find the effects button here, and I pressed everything but. So I apologize, Erica. I want you. I want you to know that in the courses that I have taught, and I think and I know you were in one of them, but I think this is true for almost every course that I've taught, that I talk about the notion of leading people, but you have to love. And that leadership requires loving. And I want you to know that right as you've gone through this entire ordeal, you have led yourself You've been obviously coached and supported by a lot of people, and you've sought the help and the support that you need. But in the end, you led yourself. This was ordained for you. The issue that I had and the question I had for you all along was, will you love yourself? Will you love yourself as a leader? And I want you to know that I have the answer to that today. You are a more loving human being. You love yourself more than I've ever seen before. You have the ability now to transfer this to other people who need to be loved. And your leadership, your ability to stand in these very tough, very complex, unimaginable circumstances, your ability to do that is, in fact, as strange as it may feel, is a calling. It is a calling. And you know, your service in the military and so forth would have you know that, you know, many are called, but few are chosen.
Yes.
You've been chosen, my dear. You have been chosen. Thank you so, so much for allowing me and for my colleagues to be a part of your journey here. It's been a wonderful thing to watch. I'm inspired by you. I feel, you know, the benefit of being able to do what I do because I've run into people like you. So thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you. I don't know if it's appropriate, but I just want to tell you, Dr. Crew, I genuinely love you.
I love you too, sweetie. I love you too.
I don't know what it is, but you've been the only person in quite some time to be able to read me without knowing me. And I just thank you so much for pouring into me.
Listen. You got to give grace to get grace. Somebody did this for me, honey. Somebody did this for me. I'm giving it to you. You'll give it to somebody else. That's how we make a more just world. So thank you. Thank you. Great to see you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm just gonna blow it out and then I'll do a little chat. I'll show y'all the cake. Okay, you wanna lick a little flour?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, hold on, I'll be back, y'all. Okay. It's the day after my final defense, and I don't know what's wrong with my camera. It's just not moving when I move. You can go ahead and eat your cake now. There we go. I don't think it's like registered yet that I'm finished. I'm quite exhausted because I let my house like go. So I have so many things to do in my house now. But it's been a journey, and they always say trust the process. And I think today, the day after the final proposal or final defense, I think I was more focused on I can't believe I did it. I can't, you know, the last 3.5, 4 years have been very, very hard on me. So I can't believe it. But we'll talk more about the process. I'm quite fatigued. I'm very tired. Really mentally, I just want to like not do anything, but I'm only one person. I'm a single parent. I can't just not do anything. So many things have fallen to the wayside. So now that is what I'll be doing in the next few weeks. But I did it. I'm Dr. Miller. So I'll see y'all in the next video.